All right. We're gonna do it. We are going to watch this shitting all over WoW thing from Narc. I don't know who this guy is. At least it doesn't sound familiar. But oh no, never mind. I have seen this guy's videos before. Dude, I miss Guild Wars 2 a bit. It's fucking sick.
Correctly, this is Blizzard Emporium. We sell the highest quality mounts.
He always does funny quirk shit like this, so.
Oh yes, I'm just looking for a replacement for my Griffin. She's 10 years old.
She's an old girl.
I retired her for an upgraded model, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Ah, yes, a fine specimen, but clearly inferior to our models. If you could just take a look at what we got available.
Oh yeah. Huh? Jesus Christ.
They look badass though, come on.
I think my Griffin's got a couple more years left in her, so yeah, don't worry.
Oh, are you sure you get 6 months game time?
Yeah.
Bobby, there's a problem. People just aren't buying it this time.
Oof. Bobby, what are we gonna do?
Execute Order 66.
One thing I gotta say is this guy's alright. He's a little bit funny, but I hear he has some controversial opinions.
After the sheer amount of pure copium in my comment section for my WoW announcement video, I was inspired to follow that video up because in between all the brain-dead copium-filled comments, there was one particular comment that kept coming up as an argument for why people are excited for Dragonflight.
Okay.
I think it's great that they're taking mounts from Guild Wars and making it better.
Now, it's no secret that Blizzard
better's
have been ripping
debatable.
off other superior MMO systems and implementing them into World of Warcraft for the last...
I actually don't think they're going to pull off mounts as good as Guild Wars 2. Maybe not initially. They might get there eventually, but legit. Even if you just took a little, I guess, glass house view of just the Griffin, and maybe Sky Scale, because it is part and parcel a little bit of both almost. But if you took both and just in a vacuum looked at how good they are, I still think you'll find Guild Wars 2 mounts will be better. But then just by simply adding the fact that they have a plethora of different mounts with different abilities already makes Guild Wars 2's mounts better. So I actually, so far, I agree with them on this one.
However, systems and mechanics are very different things, and that's why there's so much controversy surrounding this particular aspect of Dragonflight's showcase. And you see, my friends, I need to rely on controversial topics to actually make my channel relevant. So we'll be discussing the potential of this Dragonflight mechanic in today's video, but before we get into that, grab yourself a Coca-Cola, because systems are pretty easy to implement, and usually the Blizzard polish does genuinely tend to make them better. But Blizzard have never attempted to straight up copy a mechanic from another engine directly into their own dated and questionably broken one. I
wouldn't say it's broken, but it's just old, right?
Well, according to their track record of the last 10 years or so, I'd say no. But I'll explain why in today's video.
Alright, what's your method of saying they've... Why do you say, according to their track record, you've got no, though? You're going to go with no. What systems have they tried to bring in from other MMOs that they haven't done okay? Like, you need to provide an example. I'm shit out of luck on that one. Don't get me wrong, and they could be like, oh, here's the list of 10 of them, and I'll be, oh yeah, that's right. But I'm just generally trying to think of what systems they've brought in that were from another MMO, but that didn't port in okay. Like, battle pets are fine. I guess you could have this whole scaling comprehension. Like, it functions fine in Torghast, right? So in terms of like that scaling difficulty in that regard, I think that's all worked fine. The problem is the social implications, at least in my opinion. The reason why these are hailed as like horrible things is social player-driven implications of what the systems have done, not because they were ported badly. So
Now,
I don't know.
with all that bollocks out of the way, let's begin, shall we?
Still
Now,
fucking
my
makes me
little
laugh.
intro there should have filtered all the brain dead people of this
Well, I'm
video
filtered.
with a juicy dislike. And
I'm so
anyone who
filtered.
still remains, I will assume you're not too far gone to see the light, or you're just hate watching. But who doesn't hate watch the odd clown on YouTube or Twitch nowadays?
Guilty.
I gracefully accept your hate in the form of ad revenue. Allow me to explain exactly what this video is.
I actually thought he
and
was
what
going
my
to go
channel
to one of
does.
those
You see,
in-plugged
I'm sick to
ads
death
of the thing.
state of
When he
the
clicked then,
MMO
like,
genre.
I'll take it in the
For
form of
10
ad
years
revenue.
now, this genre that
Fucking
I
Shadow
love
Raid
has
Legends,
slowly
Raid Shadow
become a
Legends,
corporate
Jesus.
cesspit that has broken us down as a player base, removing systems and gameplay over time to implement pay-to-win systems under the guise of convenience and accessibility. My channel's focus is to try and put a
Somewhat
stop to this by
agreeable.
highlighting where the genre has gone wrong over the years, as I do believe we still have a voice powerful enough to make a difference.
Okay.
This is also why my channel is focused on an upcoming indie MMO called Ashes of Creation. This is the only MMO that isn't governed by a corporate entity, pulling the strings to compromise gameplay.
I don't know,
and
so far,
progression for the
it's
sake
felt
of
heavily
profit.
like
Ashes is an
hating on
MMO
WoW
brought
rather
to
than
life
telling
by
us why
one
it's going to be
man
bad.
and his team. It's
Like, he's
still in early
basically
development
glorifying
and
Guild
has a
Wars 2 and
promising future,
AOC at the
but
moment.
most appealing
Even
thing
though the
about
title was
Ashes,
strictly
for
like,
most people
here's
not
why WoW will be
entrenched in this
bad.
game's copium-filled
But
promises,
these are
is that
all the
it's
things are good,
already
and I like those other
completely
things. It's like,
funded
great, get to the
completion,
fucking
so
point.
they
What makes you
don't
think that it's going to be
need our
bad?
money to reach their goals. It's coming whether you like it or not. That's why Ashes of Creation is so different to the other Kickstarter scam MMOs and has gained the ire from big names like Asmongold, Lazy Peon, and Shroud. If Ashes of Creation can show
It's been like 5 minutes of him just glorifying other MMOs at this point.
Today, they're actually putting time and effort
Like,
into
literally, we're on,
systems,
what, 5 minutes,
launching
15
them in a
seconds.
complete state,
Alright,
listening to feedback and releasing content-rich patches rather than shallow, boring ones genuinely makes a considerable profit. They may rethink.
I
the
thought
way
you had
they
to put,
treat not
sponsored
only our
or
beloved
hashtag sponsored on
franchises, but also
content that
how
was
they
sponsored.
treat the
It's weird.
developers who create them.
AOC seems like
Or
a good
they'll
game though,
just
yeah, it's
continue
pretty
milking
good.
us and the genre will fall even further into pay-to-win and brain-dead mechanics. Now, if you're still insisting that I'm attacking this poor,
You are.
defenseless, multi-billion
multi-dollar,
corporate
yeah, multi-dollar company.
claiming we've not seen anything yet, allow me to just remind you that this showcase has actually shown more than any other previous World of Warcraft announcement at a similar scale. We've seen new zones, we've seen multiple
One thing I will say is what we've seen of dragon riding so far in the WoW clips, they are pretty kind of bare bones lame. Like, if that's all we got for the whole system, then dude, that's so missed the mark. It's like the biggest sack of shit ever. But I think it's disingenuous to look at that. That's clearly like what I'm guessing is quite bare bones. Because this is all stuff before an alpha that's obviously playable, right? This is in-game footage that they've already gotten, and we haven't even had alpha announced yet. So therefore, the in-game player footage that they're able to generate through this kind of stuff, it's obvious that it's like super bare bones dragon riding compared to the grand scope of what they're going to plan to do. So it doesn't surprise me that it's going to be looking quite limiting. They're not at the stage, or at least I'd imagine that they're not ready to showcase the extravagance like the Griffin in Guild Wars 2 that obviously looks amazing. So I don't expect them to freaking have everything completely flushed out. Maybe that is coping. I don't know.
The crafting changes and talent tree, they've showcased a whole new race and class alongside a cinematic with the brand new borrowed power that seems to plague modern WoW.
But Narc, they didn't show any borrowed power,
Yeah.
so they've got rid of it for Dragonflight.
They even
Listen,
said that in the
guys,
interview.
If having flying mounts and unique flying mechanics be tied to one specific part of the world isn't borrowed power, then I don't know what is. This
Well,
doesn't
no.
solve-
All right, hold up. Dude, it's not borrowed power because it's not power. It says it in the name, power. Just because you can fly somewhere, that doesn't give you power. It's not a stat increase, whereas all the previous borrowed power was literally numerical based, right? You had BFA with the chest stuff and the neck and all that stuff, Azurite essences and Azurite armor. Thank you, Jesus Christ. Azurite armor. I'm actually getting like aggressively kind of like annoyed at this statement, but yeah, BFA had Azurite armor and essences and all that shit. That was physical numerical gains you got and abilities you would not have unless if you partake in the particular system. Legion artifacts and grinding out the artifact power, because every fucking insert a word power here. Shadowlands had covenants. The covenant trees and all that stuff is literally stats and conduits that physically increase your damage. Whereas the ability to fly in a zone, whether it's zone based or expansion based, and then you will never get dragon riding ever again in any other zone, that does not make it borrowed power because it's not power based though. It has nothing to do with power. It was always a numerical gain that felt shit, which is why from Legion to BFA, the moment you hit 54, I think it was, or whatever it was, as soon as you hit 54 and you lost all your Legion artifact weapons and all your legendaries and shit, you just completely went to the bin, and like leveling those last few levels was a nightmare because you just lost all this power. But dragon riding's not power. It's not like, oh, you successfully completed 7 barrel rolls, therefore your increased damage output is increased by 7% for an hour. Well, buffs are back. Like, no, nothing to do with power. Completely wrong.
The issue, they've just reskinned it. At the end of the expansion, the mechanics that come with this Dragonflight will be taken from us. But I can elaborate more on this by
mechanics,
Guild Wars 2
maybe, we don't know. But power, no,
you
it's
see,
got nothing to do with power.
simply just copy Guild Wars 2's mounts, especially by just merging together the Griffin and Skyscale. The mounts in this MMO play a very specific role, and it doesn't work nearly the same way as most other MMOs do. Guild Wars 2 in general is a game that focuses a lot on...
I'd agree so far, because they have raptors, bunnies, and all that other stuff. Like the raptor obviously can leap across canyons, the bunny can jump up higher. There's... Every single map has a purpose, and I actually think that's something that Guild Wars 2 did really well. You're not going to lose function, and therefore it's a moot point just because you're merging 2 different mounts into the one concept. I don't know, we'll see where he's going with this.
You gain no power benefits from any of the...
He just admitted that you gain no power benefits from this system. Just said that. But then 3 seconds ago, he said how it's borrowed power. You gain no power benefits, but it's borrowed power. Oh, dude, so much lack of respect for you right now.
The progression available to you at max level, so ArenaNet needed to design interesting horizontal progression paths that still give you that sense of progression. They chose to do this by giving us, as players, far more freedom with movement. As we level up beyond max level,
yeah, that was so good.
Our ability to traverse
he is right. The
world
mastery
becomes
tracks and all that for the mounts were actually amazing. Honestly, they were really fun to play.
The joy of movement, a term
there
I
is
am rather
a lot of good movement,
as it describes Guild Wars 2 very, very well. The mounts tie into this system very heavily, as your progression path through their second expansion, Path of Fire, was mostly about obtaining and powering up these mounts to be more efficient at what they do.
Big true.
There were 4 base mounts advertised at the launch of Path of Fire,
big true.
And each one serves a very specific purpose. The Raptor excelled at ground movement and allowed us to lunge across great chasms, an ability only available specifically to
the one thing I'll just touch on here as really well is the fidelity of the mounts. The bunny not so much. The bunny did feel a little bit janky. Maybe that was just me, and it could also be because Oceanic player playing on NA 300 MS, it was fucking nightmare. That's one of the big pivotal reasons why I don't play the game anymore. But the Raptor felt really good. Like that jump leap forward that he's doing felt insanely smooth. It was really fucking good, well implemented.
And the other three also had very exclusive abilities too. The bunny allowed us to leap up vertically. The skimmer allowed us to move across bodies of water with
Indeed.
limited floating capabilities that eventually gets upgraded to be used underwater. And
Oh,
finally, the
I actually did not know
allowed
that.
us to
Jackal was the
short
teleports, yeah.
distances and move through special
That was good fun.
portals to reach hidden places.
And you'll notice that down the bottom is your dodge bar. So it's that little yellow bar right down the bottom above, like hugging the top of your health bubble, health circle thing. The number of dodge rolls you will get changes based on the mount as well. And that's how many like mount abilities you have. So I think the Jackal, like you see here, has 3 dashes and 3 blinks that it can do. Whereas the Raptor, I think, had 2. You can do 2 leaps within a certain period of time. And the Griffin has 1, I think, because it's just the flap that it does and it regenerates a bit quicker.
However,
It was really cool,
Arena
honestly,
Net
like,
added a
they did very well.
hidden mount in Path of Fire
Big
that
true,
wasn't
Griffin was
advertised
hidden.
in any way, shape,
That
or
was really
form.
fun to get
This
as well.
was a discovery left for the players to find, and the first couple of weeks of this expansion's launch, the community exploded with excitement over this.
Yeah,
fifth
that's right, you could
hidden
do the
mount.
Jackal
This
stuff
mount
through the
was
air.
The Griffin. It was an
Yeah, Griffin was so
extremely
good.
cool and well-hidden achievement for you to follow that
Took
took you
ages as
across
well.
the world, using
Yeah,
your
yeah.
mastery of all 4 base mounts in
Mm-hmm.
order to unlock the ability to purchase the Griffin. And the price itself?
That's one thing I guess you could give a testament to Guild Wars 2 is they made these mounts content. And you can say that WoW has content for the mount as well because you're doing the Mythic Raid or you're doing old legacy mount raid runs, and so you're going through. But when they introduce a new mount, the acquisition for it is generally pretty stale. It's either repeat X daily 7 times and you'll get the mount, or random chance from this boss, things like that. I would love to see a lot more implementation of like full-on class-driven quests. Like we had a little bit in Legion, right, where the whole class order hall had your own class sort of thing that you went along. Chargers and the Demon Steed thing, so Warlock and Paladin mounts obviously had their little bit of class specific stuff to them. It would be really cool if they introduced mounts that weren't just like, here's 7 reskins and they drop from these particular bosses, you got a 1% chance, go ahead, good luck. But if you do it in 15 minutes, you get 100% drop chance, or whatever the case may be. I don't know, it's just annoying. I don't mind having rep ones, like if they introduce 20 new mounts, sure, 15 of them are just sacks of shit that get done really quickly. But if they had a few of those nice ultra rare mounts that had this journey to them, that's why everyone talks about Lucid Nightmare. Lucid Nightmare was such a fun mount to do because one, yes, it was sort of like this hidden quest chain that you had to go, and when eventually you found out about it, and yes, of course, people just read it online, but they did that with the Griffin mount. Once we knew what to do, people were bringing up their second screen going, all right, what's my steps to get all the Griffin mount? But it's still fun. And Lucid Nightmare is like one of my favorite memories doing on stream way back when, to follow that through. And there was like some really cool challenges to it. So I would love way more of that in WoW's mount systems, just by acquiring battle pets or mounts that have this like story behind this, you know, journey that you go through.
A hefty 250 gold. This isn't chump change, and to put the price into context, a legendary weapon costs about 1,000 gold. 1,000 gold for a
Yeah, I have so many
cosmetic upgrade?
legendaries.
Yeah.
Not just cosmetic though. Oh no. Alright. It wasn't just a cosmetic upgrade though, because it allowed you to change stats whenever you wanted to, and it was always going to be an ascended level. And the one big pull of Guild Wars 2 is, yes, you can get ascended gear relatively quick, but anytime you wanted to change your build or anything like that, you'd obviously have to recraft ascended gear that had a different stat combination. Whereas being able to do it on the fly with legendaries was really cool. And to be fair, the whole cosmetic thing, like, dude, they look fucking sick. Like, they are demonstrably better than standard gear that they really stand out. Whether you like them or not, they stand the fuck out. So legendaries were really good.
You see, you're not just given this mount. You need to earn it.
True.
And this
Big
mount
true.
has a very specific purpose, just like the others. It doesn't make all other mounts obsolete. Sure, it has some pretty impressive gliding and swooping abilities, but the Griffin isn't a true flying mount. It takes considerable knowledge and practice to learn how to actually use the Griffin to its maximum
Again,
potential,
this is
and
just like an
even then,
advertisement
you
for
can't
Guild Wars
just
2.
use it to get anywhere you
It doesn't
want.
mean
Now,
that WoW
there's
won't
another
have that.
flying-esque mount in Guild Wars 2 called the Sky.
Because they've already said that these particular dragon mounts can't make you fly indefinitely. Like, all his premise and build up here does not mean that WoW said that that's not what's happening in WoW. Like, I don't get it.
Scale, and it has a similar process of acquisition to the Griffin. Just
He might
less
get there
hidden.
eventually,
The Sky
so-
Scale isn't a true flight mount either. It has its limits and is used in very specific scenarios to reach specific places. Sometimes the Griffin is genuinely better than the Sky Scale to reach certain places, and sometimes the Sky Scale is better. You need to learn the mounts to know
Oh, you
which
can
one
grip
is
on the
best,
side?
but
That's
why
really
am I
cool.
going on this massive
This is the one
tangent
mount I
about
don't
mount
actually know.
mechanics in an MMO you will likely never touch because
Yeah,
you're addicted
thank
to
you.
WoW. Because you see, you can't just copy a mechanic without understanding why the mechanic is limited in the first place. Allow me to explain.
Alright, you can't copy a mechanic without understanding why it was limiting in the first place. Do you think that the WoW devs just don't get the concept of flying runs out at a certain point, like limited flying? Like, I don't see a world where the World of Warcraft developers are that clueless or that gone that they go, oh, I don't know what it's like to not have flying. Like, I don't understand the premise of it. You're literally saying you can't input this particular mechanic if you don't understand why the mechanic is limiting. It's you and I can understand why it's limiting, right? Like, you don't get flight all the time. You have to have player interaction to make it go faster, and there's different mounts have different mechanics that overcome certain obstacles, right? But if like any generic player can understand that concept of what, like, anyone can, we all get it. I don't understand what.
World of Warcraft is fundamentally designed to be an MMO with unlimited flying, but Blizzard are looking to create an expansion that tries to limit that ability with some interesting Guild Wars 2 inspired mount mechanics. But you see, the thing that makes the Griffin flying so much fun is that their engine is specifically designed to cater to this type of movement. The mounts have true weight to them. Their movement is limited and deliberate. If I move towards the left on my mount, there's a wind up and a wind down. There's a turning curve,
the
and
physics
you
to
don't
it, okay.
immediately stop when you want to. This demands skill from me as a player, and it's that skill requirement that makes these mounts so well received. You can only mimic the feel of Guild Wars 2's mounts by genuinely making them feel like an extension.
No, I completely disagree, for the one and only reason that immediately popped into my head. The weight and physics behind a particular mount has no bearing on the mechanics behind being able to go fast, do cool fucking flips and shit, anything like that. Case in point, and the first thing that popped into my head then was the realistic driving games, like your Forza sort of, but you know those realistic driving games where, like, even Need for Speed, it kept going from a cool one to an air one to a cool one to an air one, and then you had it's gonna do my head in until I can remember it. It might have been a Need for Speed one, but it was the one where you do the boost all the time, and they just feel totally polar opposite of each other. Oh my god, we're gonna have to look it up. We're gonna have to literally look it up right now. Racing game from 90s. It's gonna do it. No, okay, maybe not 90s. Maybe like 2000s. As soon as I see it, I'm gonna know exactly what I'm talking about. You like drifted behind cars and got increased speed and stuff. Burnout, thank you, Burnout series. Jesus Christ, I was going to do my head in if I didn't remember that. All right, you look at like a realism of Forza or Gran Turismo. Gran Turismo is probably the better one to give an example. Gran Turismo, super realistic racing. Personally, I fucking hated it. The extravagance and the grandiose fucking bullshit that would never exist in real life of Burnout and the Burnout series was insane. That's exactly what it feels like. Guild Wars 2 with its weightier physics on the mounts versus something like WoW where, yeah, the mounts are super responsive. You're no clipping through it. But then you just add the extra flair of being able to dive and do increased speed stuff, barrel rolls and all that stuff. Dude, it's no different than Burnout Paradise allowing you to do slipstream stuff behind stuff and then getting boosts where you can do stupid drifting for like 17 years around corners and stuff, and near misses would boost you even further. Oh, it was so fun. I miss Burnout actually now. But yeah, the Burnout series is a prime example, and it's the first thing that popped in my head to show why I disagree with you right here, because the weightiness of a mechanic has no the weightiness of a mount has no bearing on whether the mechanic would be successful in a different engine.
Of your character,
just saying.
Rather than a tool to get from A to B faster, you know, like the mounts have been in WoW for the last 20 years. Now, unfortunately, I don't have time to play WoW in the current year, but that doesn't mean I want the game to burn. Far from it. I'm frustrated at the state
It's
of the game,
seeming a little bit like that though.
To be better. However, I'm not entrenched in the Warcraft community enough to make a difference. That's your guys' job. If you can take anything away from this analysis,
it's like he knew
video,
people would be
please
watching
take
his
this
show
with
that
you.
don't normally watch him.
Is
Or?
extremely important.
Yeah,
Blizzard
I'd agree with
have
that.
failed to listen to us for the last 3 expansions. Legendaries were called
true.
out in Legion,
Yep.
and nothing was done about it until the very last patch. BFA was a complete mess, and nothing was done about that until the very last patch. And Shadowlands, well, don't even get me started on Shadowlands. They have an infamous reputation for throwing all this marketing into our face, and it's time to stop blindly thinking that the game will be magically fixed this time. You need to
I
let
agree
your
with that
voice be
statement,
heard.
don't get me wrong,
From the
but
showcase of this Dragonflight mechanic, to me, it doesn't seem like they understand it at all. They're simply just trying to copy it, but that's okay. That's what Blizzard does best,
nah.
right? However, if they do not nail the feel of this Dragonflight mechanic using their extremely dated and limited engine, the game will die with this expansion. So please reference what I've explained in this video for them to truly understand what makes a mechanic like this feel so good, and I will pray for you. Pray that they don't just sit on their fake corporate thrones pretending they care like they've done for the last 15 years. But as usual, I am just one nerd desperate for a good MMO, and my opinions mean nothing without yours in the comments below. And hey, if any World of Warcraft Andes actually made it to
that's
the end
me,
of the
that's
video,
me.
I'm pretty impressed because I didn't hold back at all during that
No,
video,
you
and
fucking
you
didn't.
Did that abuse pretty well.
Yeah,
About
yeah,
5 or 6
yeah.
years ago, the World of Warcraft player base were quite reasonable when it came to criticism towards World of Warcraft. However, recently, it seems people are so desperate for a good MMO that they're willing to forget everything Blizzard has failed upon, and they just desperately want WoW to be good again.
I mean, yeah, I
This
do,
includes
but
me, of course, but blindly accept.
it's not blindly.
Dragonflight for what
Like,
it is at
you've still
face
got
value
concerns and stuff,
isn't
but
good enough. So
you
I hope
can't
you like this
not look
video,
at it and go,
maybe
"Hey,
we
this
can
is really
spread this
cool." There
message
seems to be a
to
genuine
more
change in
people.
direction.
But Narc, I heckin' love WoW. The game is saved.
How dare you critique Blizzard?
And to that I say, listen kid, if you genuinely believe Blizzard are immune to criticism after the last 5 expansions, then you're high on copium.
Alright, I'd say 50-50. There was a few things that he brought up that just really did not... Nah, I'm not having it.
Proof
But
it will
alright.
fail.
Oh yeah, here we go. Asmongold's version of this now. I might have to watch that off stream. Yeah, we'll see what his take on it all is. Alright. Well, there you have it. 50% full of shit, 50% yeah, good point. That's a nice little summary.